This is your place. You will accept your punishment and eat this food, or you will be cast out.
Once upon a time, in a very beautiful African village, there lived twin sisters, Marikisa and Fauseta. Both 6 years old, they were born with mystical gifts. One could see spirits, and the other could heal all kinds of illnesses. The two little girls, whose spiritual talent was uncontrollable, were a source of fear in the village. Everyone was afraid of them. They were so feared that when they passed by, the villagers would flee and hide. It was said in the village that the twins were evil, that they were responsible for their mother's death. Was it the truth or a lie? No one in the village knew. The two twins lived with their father Malik and their grandmother Ava. Their mother, Mominat, may she rest in peace, had lost her life while giving birth to them. Malik loved his daughters very much, but he was very ill. He suffered from an incurable disease and was always bedridden. Malik was very rich and owned a huge, luxurious house in which they all lived. Once, Malik was highly respected and full of energy, but after the birth of the twins, he had fallen seriously ill. Grandmother Ava was a powerful occultist. She was very knowledgeable in spiritual matters. Grandmother Ava loved the younger twin Marikisa very much, while she also loved Fauseta. The two little girls had grown up without their mother's love, in the shadow of their father's illness, and under the affection of their grandmother Ava. The twins loved their father dearly and wanted to help and heal him, but they were too weak and too small. Every time, they would tell their father to hold on to life. A few days later, a prophecy arrived. The Marabout Ograta, the most powerful man in the village, was visited by a forest spirit. The spirit was splendid, shining with the glow of a green aura. Its body was draped in adornments of living foliage. The forest spirit spoke, "O my worshipper, this village will soon face a great curse. Two broken-hearted and malevolent beings will attempt the impossible to save a loved one, but in their quest, they will release other evil spirits who will take their revenge upon the village. Unfortunately, the only people capable of stopping them will demand a heavy and difficult sacrifice." Humbly, the Marabout Ograta asked the forest spirit, "I am perplexed. Who are these beings?" The forest spirit replied, "I am sorry. I cannot say, for I am a spirit and I cannot alter the future. It is up to you to save the village." Then, the forest spirit vanished. Terrified, the Marabout hurried to the royal palace. "My king," he said, "we have a problem." He sat down and recounted everything he had heard, the riddle of the forest spirit. The king, struck with fear, did not know what to do. He forbade the birth of twins in the village and prohibited the villagers from practicing occult arts or cults. A few days later, the king asked the Marabout, what must be done to prevent this prophecy? The Marabout knew nothing. He, too, was without a solution. 4 years had passed. Nothing had happened. The prophecy had not come true. The king stopped panicking. The Marabout Ograta thought the forest spirit had been mistaken. Things in the village were going well. No sign of a curse appeared. The rules imposed by the king were no longer followed. Everyone lived happily. Since then, the forest spirit had never reappeared. Marabout Ograta began to believe he might have dreamed it and that the spirit had never actually appeared to him. A year after the ban, since nothing was happening, the king formally repealed the decrees. This official decision angered the old occultists, for they believed the forest spirit had not been wrong and that the curse was real. This irresponsible act by the king discouraged the old occultists, who were nonetheless tasked with protecting the barrier that held the sealed spirits. For them, the old decrees were not merely human laws, they created a spiritual barrier. Abandoning them could allow negative energies to penetrate the village more easily. But the arrogant king didn't care, because in his view, he had been lied to about the prophecy. Unfortunately, he did not know he would be held responsible for it. From that moment on full moon nights, a strange fog enveloped the village, and some inhabitants heard voices near the river. By trying to protect the village through fear, the king had inadvertently created a form of protection. By abandoning fear, he also abandoned that protection. But no one seemed to pay attention to these signs, except for one person, Grandma Ava. She saw and felt evil black spirits invading the village alleys every full moon night. In reality, the reason the prophecy had not come true was not that the forest spirit had lied, but that the riddles of this prophecy had not been correctly deciphered. The marabout had misunderstood and misinterpreted it to the king. The prophecy was conditional and awaited three conditions to be met. 1. The age of the twins. They had to reach their magical maturity. 2. The weakening of the protections. The king's rules maintained a form of balance. Their gradual abandonment had created a vulnerability. 3. Proximity to the river. The spirit sealed in the Vajga could only act if someone with a gift willingly approached its banks. 6 years later, the king organized a beauty contest to choose the most beautiful girl in the village. Falseta decided to participate. At the end of the contest, she won. She was the most beautiful. The villagers in the crowd were suspicious because, to them, she was a witch. But the king's action changed everything. The king himself took the young girl's arm. She was 17 years old at the time. From now on, you are the village beauty queen, and everyone must respect you. Woe to anyone who causes you trouble. These declarations prompted all the villagers to reconsider their judgment of Falseta and Marikisa. Days went by, and the twins' good deeds made the villagers happy. Marikisa healed people, and her twin sister Falseta influenced them with her beauty. Girls her age wanted to look like her and came to seek her advice. However, the more popular she became, the more she began to change, nurturing unhealthy thoughts, but this remained a secret. The villagers now spoke only of her good deeds. 1 year later, the twins Marikisa and Falseta had grown up. They were now 18 years old each. Falseta, the older twin, was very beautiful. She loved taking care of herself, had a very harmonious figure, and dressed elegantly. Extremely intelligent and arrogant, she had eyes bigger than the world and was very envious. She wore neatly braided hair and luxurious clothes. Thanks to her beauty and extraordinary intelligence, she had managed to change the way the villagers viewed the two of them. Falseta was deeply motivated by her father's wealth and that of the village. She sought power and riches, but she pretended, in front of her younger twin sister, that she also wanted to save their father, and claimed it was her primary goal. Falseta had the gift of speaking with spirits, both evil and benevolent. However, the price to pay for hearing their words was that with each summoning, the spirit had to possess an inanimate object or a human body. And whenever a spirit possessed an object, it would eventually catch fire because the spirit could not physically appear before her. The older twin could summon only one spirit per lunar cycle, and each summoning lasted a maximum of 3 hours, after which the spirit would become uncontrollable. Unfortunately, this gift did not come without consequences. Each summoning left a permanent physical mark on her. A lock of her hair would turn white, irreversibly. Moreover, there was a rule for the malevolent spirits. With each summoning, she had to offer them a sacrifice of her own blood. For some spirits, it was a precious memory. It all depended on the spirit summoned and its level of power. Falseta was very determined and deeply enjoyed practicing this dark art, which aged her day by day. As for her younger twin sister, Marikisa, she was also very beautiful, with exceptional curves. She was less intelligent but capable of healing all kinds of illnesses. Unfortunately, her gift was the most dangerous and complex, as it involved several stakes that put her life at risk. Marikisa could only heal illnesses whose origin she understood. Mystical illnesses and curses resisted her, as she was not initiated into occult arts. But her power came with a painful cost. Every time she healed an illness, she temporarily suffered its symptoms for 10 hours, and these pains were twice as intense as the original. After that time, she would return to her normal state, her body mystically and rapidly regenerating. In reality, she could heal complex illnesses, like her father's, but it would be in exchange for the sacrifice of her own life. Indeed, incurable diseases required her to take the entire illness upon herself, which would kill her. She was not yet aware of this but wanted first to uncover the circumstances of this illness. After recovering her health following the healing of a patient, she had to seal the illness in a bottle. Breaking this bottle would lead to her end. That is why she decided to bury these bottles in an unexplored and secret location. The only person who knew of these places was the older twin, Falseta, who also visited them in secret to practice her dark magic, as it was forbidden in the village and the king had completely banned it. But Marikisa did not know this, as she believed she was the only one who knew of this place. The younger twin, Marikisa, was very humble and smiled often. She dressed like an occultist, exuding a gentle and very serene aura. Despite what she endured after each healing, she forced herself to keep smiling and her head held high, because that was what made her happy. Marikisa had one goal: to save her father. She spent a lot of time with her grandmother, who tried to initiate her into the arts of their family's cult. The younger twin, Marikisa, had become a healer and helped many people in need, making her a very influential figure in the village. In contrast, her twin sister Falseta thought only of taking care of herself and did nothing but squander their father's wealth, even though she donated food to the poorest. She was also respected in the village. Thus, the twins, who should have been hated and called demons by the villagers, had become angels saving the village. Everyone was happy and loved them dearly. However, the older twin Falseta, like any envious person, had an ambition stronger than saving her father, to possess all the wealth of the village. To achieve this, she was plotting a Machiavellian scheme and intended to use her younger twin sister to accomplish her ends. Judging by the expression on her face when she thought about it, one could grasp the gravity of her plan. It was secret and mysterious, much like her supernatural gift. As for the younger twin Marikisa, her only desire was to save her father. Although she managed to heal other villagers, her father remained ill, his sickness incurable. He was still bedridden. Their father, Malik, had been confined to bed throughout their childhood, and this deeply saddened her. But unfortunately, had she known the truth behind the reasons for their father's illness, she would have sought the solution elsewhere. Every day, old Ava, feeling herself decline, knew she had to pass on her gift to ensure the family's spiritual legacy to a worthy heiress. But the old woman was adamant that it be the younger twin Marikisa, her favorite. Unfortunately, the latter was hopeless in the art of communicating with spirits. She retained nothing when anyone tried to teach her. As for the other twin, Falseta, she was very arrogant but also highly intelligent and talented. She was naturally predisposed to this practice, as she was already able to see and converse with spirits. But every time Ava, their grandmother, tried to teach her, she refused out of pride, saying she didn't need her to succeed and could learn on her own. This level of insolence angered the grandmother. Ava preferred to waste her time with her favorite, the younger twin Marikisa, who was hopeless in this field. In truth, she had no other choice but to pin her hopes on her, even though, deep down, she knew it was a waste of time. She was aware that it was the other twin, the insolent one, who should have been the heir. Every time the younger twin Marikisa failed, grandmother Ava lost hope. After days of teaching with no progress, emotionally defeated, she confided in her granddaughter Marikisa. With tears in her eyes, she told her, "My child, my life has been nothing but failure. Even though I am spiritually powerful, I am unable to heal my son, who is also your father. I cannot manage to teach you my art. I know that if you master it, you will surpass me and be able to save your father, as well as many others. I can only communicate with benevolent spirits, as malevolent spirits are rare, and only a handful of people can do so. The younger twin Marikisa replied, also with tears in her eyes, "Oh, grandmother, I am truly hopeless. But I know you have not failed, because you are still here before me. And as for father, I will save him. Grandmother, I will succeed. Teach me, even if it takes 100 repetitions to master a single word, I will do it." That is how Grandmother Ava regained her confidence and resumed the teaching. However, in this village lived a very handsome man, the prince. He was very strange. Instead of being proud of being the prince, he always wanted more and dreamed only of his father, the king's, death. Prince Franklin was ambitious and ill-intentioned. He had eyes bigger than the world and wanted his father's throne at any cost. He was a very determined man, but he always lacked the courage to take action. In reality, a secret existed in this village, known to no one except Grandmother Mamona and the old men initiated into the arts of the cult. The river, nicknamed Vajga, had two faces, a physical one and a spiritual one. Physically, it was a source of life, a beautiful, glittering river full of fish. It was the pride of the villagers, who drank from it and fed on its wildlife. But unfortunately, its spiritual face was deeply troubling. The river was the prison of a powerful malevolent spirit, once regarded as a god. This spirit was capable of accomplishing anything, even things that defeat metaphysical and supernatural laws. Being extremely powerful and evil, it had been sealed at the cost of great sacrifices. The old men and occultists were the guardians of this prison. They ensured the spirit remained trapped there for eternity. A few weeks later, the two twins Marikisa and Fauseta, sitting together, were pondering a way to save their father from his illness. It was then that the elder twin had the idea to go bathe in the river nicknamed Vajga. The younger twin wanted to follow her, and they set off on the path. Upon arriving at the Vajga river, the younger twin Marikisa, as she was about to enter the water, was struck by a powerful dizziness that pushed her back. The shock caused her to lose consciousness. As for her elder sister, she stood frozen, her gaze distant. Fauseta had sensed the malevolent spirit and had unintentionally made contact with it. It happened suddenly. The spirit itself had reached out to her and was making her an offer. Fauseta was surprised that a spirit would speak to her in broad daylight. Curious, she wanted to know who it was. She tried to bathe and felt its presence even more strongly. She saw the malevolent spirit face to face, while her younger sister, unconscious, saw nothing. The malevolent spirit said, "Oh, little girl with a powerful gift, I can make you more powerful than ever before. You will no longer have to make any sacrifices to speak with spirits. You will be able to speak to any you wish, and your hair will no longer change color." The elder twin thought long and hard, seeing in it a fine opportunity to obtain what she desired. The malevolent spirit added, "But on one condition, you must unlock the spiritual prison using your gift." The elder twin Fauseta replied, "No, we have been forbidden from doing such a thing." The malevolent spirit grew more persuasive. "I can heal your father." Fauseta asked, "Is it true, you can do that?" It answered, "Yes. But you must choose. I can only grant one of your wishes." Fauseta was disappointed, but she thought again. Unfortunately, she selfishly decided, in her own interest, to choose dark power over saving her father. And so, Fauseta became more malevolent and freed the evil spirit from its spiritual prison. Quickly, the guardians sensed it throughout the village. Someone had committed the gravest folly. It was free, and its vengeance would be terrible. No one could stop it. The occultists gathered swiftly and sought the culprit. Just as they were about to discover them, the malevolent spirit began attacking them, forcing them to flee to places of natural protection. It killed the guardians one after another. The survivors fled to the royal palace. Out of 30 guardians, 10 had lost their lives, according to their accounts. There were 3 places the malevolent spirit could not enter: the royal palace, the twins' house, and the dark forest. By freeing the malevolent spirit, the elder twin Fawcetta had indirectly released an old witch, also very powerful. A few days later, the malevolent spirit decided to take revenge on the villagers. The guardians were safe, but the common people were in danger. The spirit unleashed extraordinarily tragic curses. The harvests turned bad, food stores rotted day by day, villagers killed each other to survive. The spirit possessed young men, making them commit shameful acts. Grandmother Ava had hidden in her home to protect herself. She had suspicions about who was responsible for releasing the spirit, but had no proof. She needed a witness. As for the elder twin, she remained calm and feigned surprise, but deep down, she was proud to now have unlimited access to the spiritual world. As for the younger twin Marikisa, she had lost all memory of the events at the river during her fainting spell, which protected Fawcetta from any suspicion. The next morning, Grandmother Ava questioned Marikisa, but the answer was contrary to what she expected. She was burning to interrogate Fawcetta, but knowing her pride, she knew it would be a waste of time. At the same moment, the elder twin had secretly left the protected house. What she saw stunned her. The village, once beautiful, had become a dark place teeming with curses. Not overly concerned, she went to her usual spot for summoning spirits. She held 10 dolls. She placed them on the ground and decided to summon 10 malevolent spirits at once, a threshold she had never crossed before. After strange and sinister incantations, she succeeded. But unfortunately, among the 10 malevolent spirits, there was only one benevolent spirit, a family spirit. Meanwhile, the younger twin Marikisa, exhausted from her training session in the family's occult arts, was sleeping beside her grandmother. However, despite all it could do, the malevolent spirit could not harm the twins, especially Marikisa. She had the power to reveal it without assistance, but only if she mastered her grandmother's occult arts. But there was a witch, capable of casting a curse upon them, because she was physical, not a spirit. This witch had a history, and the reason she was called that was unknown to most. She was very powerful, more so than Grandmother Ava, who feared her. Unfortunately, this witch was now free somewhere in the village. Meanwhile, on Fawcetta's side, as she sat speaking with the 10 dolls, one of them, the 10th, remained silent. Fawcetta said, "O spirit, how can I become even more powerful, capable of performing black magic, controlling malevolent spirits, and materializing spells?" The other 9 voodoo dolls replied, "You must learn the art of your grandmother Ava, otherwise, it will be impossible for you." The conversation had lasted 10 hours, and all the responses were the same. She would need to learn the occult arts and be initiated. But one doll had said nothing during the entire discussion. The elder twin, Fawcetta, noticed this and said, "The rest of you, disappear." The 9 voodoo dolls burst into flames. The last voodoo doll was not like the others. It exuded a peaceful, pleasant, and serene aura. The elder twin, Fawcetta, had never felt such a thing from a malevolent spirit. "Who are you?" she asked in an intrigued voice. The voodoo doll replied, "Ah, so it's you, Fawcetta, my daughter whom I never got to see grow up." Fawcetta realized this was the spirit of her mother. Meanwhile, at home in her sleep, the younger twin, Marikisa, was having a dream that strangely resembled the reality her twin sister was experiencing. The elder twin, Fawcetta, tears in her eyes, said, "Mother, I've missed you so much. How are you? I want to see you." Her mother smiled and said, "Too long to hold you both in my arms, But I am dead, it's impossible. Listen carefully, my daughter, you are going astray. The malevolent spirit cannot harm you, and it fears you both, for you are the only ones who can defeat it. Stop your quest for power and unite with your sister to save the village. But be careful, you have released an old woman capable of harming you. Do not provoke her. I love you both very much. Before she could finish speaking, the doll burst into flames, and a trickle of blood ran from its nostrils. Quickly, Falseta devised another plan, to learn the occult arts and bring everyone to their knees. She had not taken the words of her mother's spirit seriously. Stubborn, she set off for home, feeling invulnerable. But unfortunately, in Marikisa's dreams, her mother's spirit remained present and told her, "You want to save your father from his illness? If you want to know how he fell ill, ask your grandmother. Learn the occult arts more quickly. Your sister is becoming more and more uncontrollable. You are the only one who can stop her." And beware of, suddenly, Marikisa woke up, ending the dream. A few hours later, Falseta arrived home quickly, fell to her knees, and begged Grandmother Ava to teach her the occult arts. Grandmother Ava was surprised. She wondered, is this the girl I know? What has suddenly made her interested in this? Grandmother Ava said, "What are your motivations?" She replied, "I want to be powerful so I can control all malevolent spirits and master all dark powers." Grandmother Ava understood and said, "I see, but I refuse. I will teach them to your younger twin sister, Marikisa." Falseta, annoyed, stormed out of the house. Filled with anger, a wave of jealousy washed over her. Her younger twin sister, Marikisa, was always the family's favorite, while she herself was deemed useless. Driven by misplaced jealousy, she walked through the village, but in truth, it was she herself who had refused to learn when offered the chance years ago. After walking for a few hours, Falseta summoned the malevolent spirit they had freed. "Is there anyone in this village who can help me learn the occult arts?" she asked. The malevolent spirit said, "There is an old woman in the dark zone of the... Go there." Falseta was very capable, but she lacked a lot of knowledge. That is how she ended up in that place. She spotted a mysterious old woman, sitting and cooking in her house's courtyard. She entered, but when she saw the old woman in question, she was surprised. Her face looked very much like that of Grandma Ava. Her name was Avo, and she was the witch they had freed. Falseta took a seat and asked the mysterious old woman to help her learn the occult arts. The old woman stared at her. No, I refuse. Your heart is not suitable. You are capable, but you are not able to master my art. Go back to see your grandmother instead. I also refuse to teach you." The elder twin, Falseta, said, "Who exactly are you?" The old woman said, "My name is Avo. I am your grandmother's twin, but it seems you don't know me. I am the most powerful, and I was called a witch and was sealed away." The elder twin, Falseta, laughed out loud. "You are just an old woman without any power. My grandmother is more powerful than anyone here." Avo said, "Oh really? Go ask her who is more powerful between Ava and Avo, and you will see the trauma it will trigger in your grandmother." The elder twin, Falseta, furious, prepared to leave with feelings of hatred and bitterness. Before she left, she spat into the mysterious old woman Avo's cooking pot. But it was the greatest mistake of her life. The old woman said, "I am astounded. You have just committed this act without knowing exactly who I am. I curse you. You will suffer your entire life. You will accomplish nothing in your life. This is where your ambitions reach their peak." The elder twin, Falseta, with a sly laugh, said, "You can do nothing against me. I am protected by all malevolent spirits." The malevolent spirit said, "Be careful, she is dangerous." The old woman Avo cast a spell. But what will happen now? Is the curse now active? What was the connection between Avo and Nava? Will the younger twin, Marikisa, be able to control her family's power? And will the elder twin, Falseta, manage to face her new reality? What deeper plan was she hiding? Lesson from this first part of the story. Pride is a poison that destroys a person and makes them dream of being superior to everyone else. We are all equal before fate. This concludes the first part of this story. Subscribe and leave a comment to express your engagement, and most of all, share this story. Thank you, and see you next time for a new adventure.